Welcome to 4,000 Weeks, the weekly audio dispatch from 4kweeks.com. I am Spencer. It is week 34 of the year 2025. The first thing that I owe you this week is the dad joke of the week. Actually, I just owe you the setup to the dad joke of the week because you have to wait till the end to get the punchline. I hope it's worth it. It seems like I don't know, it seems like it's worth it to get to the punchline. I hope they're funny enough. Anyway, what do sprinters eat before they race? What do sprinters eat before they race? All right, week 34. I am a know-it-all. I mean, truly, really, truly. Week after week, I come here and I tell you my stories and my opinions. And I don't know, sometimes I just feel like, okay, buddy, like, cool story, bro. But it's true. And it seems to me people are listening, so I'll keep coming back to do it. But I have to tell you that this arm experience, the experience of fracturing my arm, has just shaken me a little bit. I don't know. When I say that I'm a know-it-all, I mean that I've always been like really confident in my place in space and time. And, you know, a lot of that has to do with how I was raised, et cetera, et cetera. But just that everything's going to be just fine and dandy for me. But just this arm thing, and we'll get to it later why, it's just shaking me just a little bit. But last night I was talking to my wife about it, and I said, I'm just so thankful for living in this moment right now. And I hope you are too. It's time for you to walk over to your 4K Weeks poster and fill in another square. Are you finished with that little reminder? My last name, this is an interesting fact, and then we'll get to the rest of the email. My last name is actually the last name of the family that adopted my great-great-grandfather my great-great-grandfather on the platform of the immigration center because he was too young to get into the country by himself, having already traveled solo on a boat from Europe. Isn't that the greatest? Just like, hey, we're here in this moment of chaos, trying to better our family, and resources are scarce and we're uncertain, and it's a scary thing. And oh yes, we have the time and space and ability to take on you, person who we owe nothing, or person who we owe nothing to. We will inconvenience ourselves to give you an opportunity. Isn't that the greatest thing? Can you even imagine that? Isn't that like the thing you're proudest about America? I don't know. I'm so of this country and native in every single way to this, United States of America experience. And then sometimes when I remember that and think that it just all comes down to the kindness of a few people in one of the most stressful moments of their lives, it kind of blows my mind. Okay, if you like this podcast, review it, rate it, share it with a friend. Listen to the email. Read the email because it's got links in it that are pretty good. But that's it. Remarkable weeks. Week 34 of the year 2020. This one is funny to me. I don't choose these. Eli chooses these, and I am sometimes just as surprised as you are. South Korean pop band BTS released their single Dynamite, which was the first YouTube video to gain over 100 million views within 24 hours. The band was 370 weeks old, or 7.11 years. Interesting that they were 7.1 years old. When I was in a band a long time ago, someone told me that if you want to get famous being in your band, just stay together for 5 years, and then you'll have some measure of success. Sometimes just doing it for a long time is the way to success. I don't understand that cultural phenomenon. What's it called? There's a thing that they call all the boy bands and girl bands in South Korea. Anyway, the world is just beautiful. All of the different inclinations and likes that the world has. Anyway, quote of the week. Knowledge is a process of piling up facts. Wisdom lies in their simplification. Martin Fisher. Knowledge is a process of piling up facts, and wisdom lies in their simplification. I thought about this quote for a while, and I just wasn't sure what I was going to write about it. I think one of the hardest things about being a grown-up human is how much of wisdom is actually just thinking deeply for a long time about issues that don't have a right or wrong answer. If you're honest with yourself, most important things don't have a right or wrong answer. They just have the answer you're choosing today. And I think that's one of the things that frustrates me so much about voices in the modern the modern world, the modern cultural landscape. Nobody seems required to have any intellectual integrity anymore. It's like it's suddenly in vogue to just have a whole bunch of opinions that are masquerading as beliefs that don't reconcile with anything and contain no wisdom. They're just like, this is what I believe and I will yell louder than you. And that is, that makes me good because I can yell louder and longer than you. It's like the what's it called? The Bernoulli principle? Brandolini's law. Look it up. Brandolini's law. It's also known as the bullshit asymmetry principle. There's a great Wikipedia page about it. Basically, it just means in the modern age, debunking some crap that someone says online takes so infinitely more energy than the putting out of the crap in the first place that it's a no-win opportunity. It's a no-win game. People just can spew falsehoods all day long, and then you spend, 30 minutes researching and be like, actually, that's false, and the data that you quoted is incorrect, and what it really means is this and this. Meanwhile, they've spewed 7,000 more total BS tweets or whatever. And I just have to say that I'm a fan of the kind of wisdom seeking that welcomes being questioned and uses that, respectful interrogation as an opportunity to get to the core of what is actually true. And it is hard, I think, to be a human in the modern age where the people who get the most attention are the ones who are screaming the loudest. It's like the engagement problem of social media, right? Nothing gets clicks if it's like, oh, yes, a very good point. Well, here's my well-researched and well-thought-out response to that also gives you the benefit of the doubt. No. It's just people screaming at each other from across a canyon. That's what gets clicks. Anyway, what I consumed this week. Okay, I put the book Stand Out of Our Light in last week. It's by James William. I'm putting it back in here again today. It's of course a repeat, and I am sorry, but I will probably leave it in here for a while. That's how important I think this book is. Attention. Attention is the most important natural resource in the world right now. And it is important to protect your attention. And it's also important to value how other people are using theirs. And it's also important to be able to see how attention is being directed in the modern world. Because as he argues in this book, in order for freedom of speech to matter, you have to have freedom of thought and you have to be able to think. And if your attention is being bought and sold to the highest bidder in ways that rewire your brain, you can't possibly have freedom of thought or freedom of speech. And if you don't have freedom of speech, what is a democracy? It is such an interesting book. It is so fascinating. It's the kind of book that at the end of every page, I have to stop and think about what he's saying. And I think I should read it again afterwards. The book is a result of the 9 Dots Prize, which is a $100,000 prize for innovative thinking and ideas. And it's actually cool because it's judged totally blind. So they strip away any identifying information and just judge the submissions on merit alone. And it's spectacular. Because of that, it's that you can download the actual PDF. You don't have to pay for it. And so in the email is the PDF to the book. I can't tell you strongly enough how much I think you should read it. And then the other thing I consumed this week is the Song Exploder podcast. My wife loves music more than anybody I know. And she has been listening to this podcast, the Song Exploder, for a while. She finally got me she was listening to Fall Out Boy's hit single Sugar, I think is what it's called, which was big when I was younger. And it's spectacular. I've listened to a few of the podcasts and they just really are fun and interesting to listen to. And if you love music, there's no reason why you're not listening to that podcast. Okay, this is going to be the shortest 4K Weeks podcast on record, I think, maybe. I'm cruising through it. What I am thinking about this week, human progress and my arm, of course, right? Obviously, I'm still pretty focused on my broken arm. It is healing quite well. We are just a little over 3 weeks into it. I don't know if you remember, I broke playing basketball. I shattered it basically. 4 hours of surgery, 3 days, 2 nights in the hospital. And it is, I've got the stitches out. This incision is healing quite nicely. It's still annoying, swollen, gets more swollen at the end of the day. It's tough to sleep with it up. Anyway, but I have been wondering a couple times lately, like how many years ago, this actually came up when I was talking to my physical therapist, who that's not even the right word for him, but we have deep conversations about what it means to be a modern human moving through the world anyway. And I was wondering out loud, like how many years ago would this have been a career ending or like a seriously life-altering injury? And so I did a little research because I was like, I had wondered that enough times and I was like, I want to know the answer. And it turns out it was not that long ago. I mean, gosh, dang it. Human progress, medical progress, scientific progress are insane. I'm going to read this to you. It's a timeline of the prognosis for this type of fracture. So I had, if you were wondering, a closed how do you say that word? Comminuted, comminuted, a closed comminuted fracture of both the radius and the ulna. So I broke both bones. One of the bones was broken into multiple pieces and fragments. So, in 1865, this is pre-antisepsis and pre-anesthesia. There would have been a high infection risk. Amputation was very common for this injury. So this is, almost 200 years ago, 170 years ago. Healing time, highly unlikely. Many cases ended in amputation or severe disability. So that was 1865. In 1895, pre-X-ray, poor alignment, frequent deformity. The healing time would have been 6 to 18 months if it healed at all. High rates of deformity and loss of function. So it's 1895. We are 1895. I can't do math. I can't even do math. 1900 to 2000. So we're like 130 years ago. 1942. We've moved up to the World War II era. Pre-antibiotics. Deep infections are common. Poor grip strength. Healing time 9 to 18 months. A high risk of infection and multiple surgeries. Can you imagine having surgery in 1942? Look, when they told me I was having surgery, I was like, okay, next thing, not worried about it. Gee, many Christmas. Okay, we're up to 1965, right? So the pre-AOASIF, I think that's orthopedic something, standards. High non-union, that's when the bones don't grow back together. Major motion loss, healing time 8 to 14 months, frequent permanent motion loss. So that's 1965, right? That's a few years before I was born. Okay, 1975. This is when I was born, right? Pre-modern rehab, long immobilization in a cast, lasting weakness, healing time 6 to 12 months, often some lasting weakness or stiffness. Okay, so now we've at least gotten to a year of healing time. Some lasting weakness and stiffness. Okay, 1985. That's when my brother was born. Well, no, he was a toddler. Early mobilization starts, less stiffness, bulky hardware, healing time 6 to 10 months, improved motion, but bulky hardware slowed the return to normal. 1995, a year before I graduated from high school. Okay, so that's 30 years ago. Anatomical plates, better alignment, minimal rotation loss, healing time 5 to 9 months, much better alignment and range of motion outcomes. So now we're in the modern age, but still 5 to 9 months. 2005, locking plates, strong fixation, early rehab is possible, healing time 4 to 8 months. I would have still been in a cast. Early mobilization becomes safe and common. So this is like you're moving it around and stuff. But that's 20 years ago, which is, if you are my age, that's not a long time ago. That is, I could have broken this bone back then playing basketball. 2015, minimally invasive plating, faster, less tissue damage, healing time 4 to 7 months, less tissue damage, speeds recovery. Okay, 2015. Now in 2023, rehab plus technology, near full recovery in about 4 months, healing time 3 to 5 months, near full strength and motion for most patients. This is my experience. So we've gone from, we need to cut this thing off or you're going to die of infection, to it's inconvenient, but in, around 3 months, you'll be playing basketball and lifting weights again. It is insane. It is mind-boggling to me that 20 years ago is the beginning of you can recover most of the use of this arm. Maybe 30 years ago, if we're going to split hairs about it. 30 years ago, okay, it's still going to take about a year for you to heal, but you're mostly going to be able to use your arm again. This has been such a nothing burger, this serious breaking of my arm. Part of that's been my attitude, but most of it has been because it was never a crisis. And I think that what I'm trying to get at here is that it's important in the big moments, it's easy in the big moments when you are incredibly grateful for modern technology or medical advances to be reminded that things haven't always been this way, right? That's the thing that's kind of shaken me about my arm a little bit, is that the experience I have had is a new experience. Most people who have broken their arm this way, it has been a kind of a catastrophe. It's kind of been a crisis. And at no point in my entire experience has anyone been like, oh, geez, like any professional, like, this is really nasty. I'm not sure how this is going to go. They were all like, yeah, I mean, it's a bummer. You really broke the heck out of your arm, but we're going to fix it. It's fine. If I had broken my arm this way right about the time I was born, there'd be a good chance that I would never have been able to use my arm the same again. Think about that. Think about the fact that I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm going to, when can I play basketball? Oh, 3 to 4 months. Okay, cool. But then 40 some odd years ago, they're like, oh, you're not going to play basketball anymore. Even up until the 1900s, the healing time would have been 3 times as long, with a serious chance of reduced mobility at the end. And as it stands, I should be almost back to normal in 3 months. And also, having not ever worn a cast, I did not, the most I had on my arm at any point during this experience, right now I'm wearing a compression sleeve to try to help with the swelling. But the biggest thing I had on my arm was a few ace bandages and some gauze right after surgery. Never a cast. It's internally fixated. And most of the time we all walk around feeling like this way, today's way, whatever we're doing today and last week and next week, is just how humans have always existed. And I think that has to do with how short our lives actually are, right? So this is our experience. And the fact that we all think that we're the hero of the story. We have this first person narrative so that this just is what it is. And, throughout my entire life, we've been living through this seriously long period of calm, relative calm in the world. But now is a period of disruption. And so we're just starting to be like, oh, wait, things can be different. And I think it's important that we don't kid ourselves that this is the way we have always been, or it will always be. Everything can and will be different, maybe tomorrow. Like, look around you. It's absolutely possible that in 10 years, which actually I should have maybe said 5 years, that every single thing about your daily life will be different. That is a possible outcome. In fact, you can find 100 podcasts right now where really intelligent, successful, thoughtful people who are in the stream of the cultural change, people who know what they're talking about, are arguing that is going to be the case. 5 years from now, you won't even recognize your life. I mean, do you even remember what work was like before the internet? I was in high school, and it's hard for me to remember what it was like before I used a computer almost all day long. Do you even remember when you couldn't get any fruits and vegetables that you wanted 12 months out of the year? And it was like slightly annoying when they didn't have just the right strawberries, or maybe the strawberries were a little smaller than usual. I have no memory of this, despite the fact that my entire childhood produce was seasonal in almost all grocery stores. It's insane. Don't kid yourself that this, whatever, look around you. Don't kid yourself that this is how things have always been or how things will always be. And the reason I've been using my arm and how differently it could have been not that long ago to help remind myself how differently it could be not too long into the future. Because there is a change coming. I think you know that more so than in the past 47 years, more so than at any time in my adult life. It's clear that there is a change coming and maybe a couple of really big ones. And whether or not that change results in utopia or dystopia has everything to do with who has picked up the mantle and is leading the charge into the future. And like, this is like a call to action. I don't know if that's clear. This is me telling you that in little ways and big ways, you need to be pushing the culture, the direction you want it to go, lest other people push it the direction they want to go, which might be antithetical to your hopes and dreams. I don't think there's any way that we can get to a utopia if so few people continue to have so much and so many people continue to have so little. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it there. I just imagine what, if 30 years ago, I would have been in a huge cast for a long time, 3 times as long healing with potential loss of motion. What's it going to be like in 30 years? Are they just going to put me in some kind of gel that like immediately heals everything? It's insane to think about. And that's going to be true about every aspect of our culture. And so it's incumbent upon the people who care to push the universe in the direction that they want it to be. That's it. That's what I got. You should really, really, really check out the links at the top, the link at the top of the email and the link at the end of the email. I think there's some really good content, nothing too terribly long in there. I mean, 15 minutes is not that long to watch something that is really moving. That's what you should do. You should do that. Oh, dad joke of the week. What do sprinters eat before they race? What do sprinters eat before they race? Nothing. They fast. It's a good one. Hey, if you have a dad joke, submit it to the dad joke thread in the 4K Weeks community. That is the podcast for the week, coming in at just under 23 minutes. Get you in and out of here, get you ready for the school year. I know that a lot of people are having chaos right now as they go back to school. And so, go do some meal prep or something in the 10 minutes that I have saved you from listening to this podcast. Have a great week. I'll talk to you soon.